Hello, and welcome to another Notes on Nothing. One man, an iPad, and some very rudimentary editing skills. This week, Lockdown Part 3, Accepting Your Inner Troll. I'll start with a short story. So there were these goats, right? And in the tradition of this type of story, there were 3 of them, all of different sizes. Oh yes, and they could talk. Stick with me. Fed up with the meagre pickings in the field they were grazing in, they had their sights set firmly on the luscious greenery in the field on the other side of a fast-flowing river. They were aspirational goats. I know, the grass is always greener, yada yada yada, but there was no telling goats back in the day. Anyway, the only way of getting from one side of this fast-flowing river to the other was by means of a bridge. Now under the bridge lived a troll, one who had been tarred, maybe unfairly, by the evil brush. I know, textbook. Not sure what he was doing there, and who am I to judge? Under the bridge downtown, he could not get enough. Under the bridge downtown, he forgot about his love. Under the bridge downtown, he gave his life away. Yay, yay, yay. And there he stayed. Meanwhile, the goats, who weren't fussed one way or the other about the Red Hot Chili Peppers, had conferred and made the decision to cross the bridge one at a time in ascending size order, commonly known as a reverse Goldilocks. He may have had a slight frame, but the smallest goat created one hell of a racket as his hooves hit the bridge. The troll made an appearance royally pissed off. Despite his fondness for the underside of the bridge, he would be the first to acknowledge that the acoustics down there weren't the greatest. Already on edge, he threatened to eat the goat. A bit harsh, you may think, but when you consider that he had just spent a fortune on soft furnishings to try and dampen the echo, but to little effect, I think you would agree that it puts it all into perspective. However, do not underestimate those who are smaller of frame. What they lose in stature, they make up for in their weasel words to get them out of scrapes. This small goat bargained his safe passage to the other side by appealing to the greed of the troll and selling out his larger caprine comrade, the little shit. To cut a short story even shorter, the middle-sized goat, who, out of the 3, never had any problems getting clothes that fit well, was no better, gaining access to the fresh pastures in the same way. Then the biggest one comes along and beats the living crap out of the troll, leaving all 3 goats free to eat as much grass as they want on the other side of the river, until such time as they munch their way through the grass over there and decide that they want to come back, being the fickle feckers they are. Pity the troll. Not a sophisticated tale by any standards. To my knowledge, one of the only tales of talking animals that Disney has failed to cash in on so far. Come on, Disney, get your act together. You can easily spin this out into a 2-hour musical cash cow, I'm sure. Get Hall & Oates to do the score. They've got a lot of time on their hands these days. And get cracking on the merchandise now. The world needs more branded lunch pails. You are good at that. You're not so good at Star Wars, though. Thank you for ruining that for me. Beside the point, I know, but I needed to get that off my chest. Anyhow, the tale of the 3 biddy goats gruff, as it is more commonly known, contains plenty of morals here to trawl through. Greed doesn't get you anywhere. Good conquers evil. Never trust short people. What is conspicuously absent in terms of interpretation, though, is that maybe the troll owned the bridge and the goats were trespassing. Perhaps it was originally a story of a toll bridge, and time has distorted it into a troll bridge. The story has been embellished to make the bridge owner / toll collector become a hideously deformed monster as a sort of socialist moral judgment on the concept of ownership. Whichever way you cut it, the troll doesn't come out of it looking good. And I think this is a tad unfair. If you go back to their origins in Scandinavian folklore, trolls were described as living in small family units in isolated areas and being rarely helpful to human beings. No mention of attitude towards goats, however. This doesn't sound that bad to me. So you can see, time has not been a friend to the troll. These days you speak of a troll and you automatically think of a cowardly cock with a keyboard, the scum of the Ethernet. My trolls, the original ones, do not have access to the internet and therefore cannot harangue people online. My trolls, spoiler alert here, don't actually exist. These neo-trolls do. Modern life is truly bullshit. So I'm calling on us to reclaim the use of the word troll. Let's not pervert it any longer. Trolls are merely grumpy isolationists who, for all we know, are longing to be embraced by humanity. Let's not call the loathsome internet trolls anything. Let's not recognise nor speak of them. It only helps give credence to the vile bumcrumbs they spew as they hide in their hateful hovels. Full disclosure, there is a selfish reason for me wanting to reclaim the word troll. I seem to have become one. Not the type that snipes then cowers behind online anonymity. We have just established that we no longer call these tossers trolls anyway. The latest and longest of the lockdowns has turned me into a troll in its purest sense, going back to its Scandinavian roots. I will go further. I don't think I'm alone. If we all took a bit of time, and let's face it, we all have plenty of that at the moment, to reflect, I think there will be a few more members of the very recently formed Trolls Anonymous group Networking for Understanding Trollism, or TAGNUT for short. And it's hardly surprising. We have been forced into isolation for a not inconsiderable period of time. Social skills are like muscles, I should imagine. I have neither. Use them or lose them. Social interaction has been thin on the ground. I don't consider Zoom calls to be social interaction. Wi-Fi latency is not a friend of meaningful social intercourse. The only notable connection I've established over the past 12 months is with a handheld digital thermometer. But more of that another time, maybe. Over the course of 3 protracted chapters, socializing as we knew it has been written off, discouraged, and maybe even vilified. We have adapted accordingly. We have evolved into trolls. During the first lockdown, I missed real conversations, yet virtual calls were a novelty. During the second, tedium started to creep in and my tolerance of virtual social discourse started to wane. During this third lockdown, my vocal cords have completely retreated and my speech has regressed to a series of rudimentary yet multi-purpose grunts. Lockdown has forced me into antisocial pursuits. I turned to television. I watched television. I watched the whole of it. There is no more television for me to watch, and there is no chance of more television at any time soon, seeing as no one is allowed out to make more television. After I finished with television, I thought I would start on the internet. I'm halfway through it now. I don't want to spoil it for you, but what starts out as an uplifting insight into a cultured and intelligent species committed to the endeavour of personal betterment soon turns into a bleak, soulless, sometimes disturbing view of an essentially narcissistic race hell-bent on self-destruction. Oh yes, and some pornography. So what's next? Listening to podcasts? No thanks. You would not believe some of the shit that gets churned out there. No quality control. No quality. No control. It's like the Lord of the Flies in a recording studio. But in spite of this massive entertainment data download, I have nothing to speak to people about now. Before lockdown, small talk consisted solely of comparing what box sets you were ploughing your way through. We can't do that anymore. We all know we have all watched everything. And besides, over the past year, during lockdown, we have conversed almost exclusively through a stream of non-stop GIFs and memes. When we eventually get back to face-to-face interactions, if my interlocutor decides to communicate with me by stringing a series of words together to form a sentence, rather than embarking on a 10-second self-deprecating dance routine, I'm not sure I'm going to know how to react, to be honest. The only tick-tock being the sound of the kitchen clock in the background, noisily punctuating the socially awkward situation we're in. And to be fair, lockdown has afforded us the luxury of avoiding such awkward social interactions, giving us great excuses to steer clear of them altogether if we wanted. Can't be asked with a call? Say you have dodgy Wi-Fi and switch off. Always wanted to tell your colleague that they're shit at their job? Well, now you can. Just make sure you're on mute when you do it. And the next time you are on mute, look carefully at the symbol. It's not a microphone with a line through it, it's a phallus with a line through it. What that symbol is clearly saying is this: I don't want to talk to dicks anymore. And as I look down at and speak into my microphone now, making sure it really is a microphone, I think that this last sentence sums up the whole lockdown experience for me and the rest of us trolls. We just don't want to talk to dicks anymore. That's what being a troll is truly about. We're not shunning social interaction. In fact, we value it more than ever, reserving it for select occasions with people we truly appreciate. That is the code of the trolls. Let's embrace it. Be not ashamed, troll. There is hope for us when we finally come out of lockdown, but we will need help. Be nice to trolls. Extend the warm, clammy hand of friendship. Forgive us our primitive communication skills, our grumpiness. Give us time to readjust. But most of all, for goodness sake, don't be a dick. That's all for this episode. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please like, subscribe, follow on notes_nothing. Thank you for listening. Goodbye.